It's time to experience the future, where people, technologies, and ideas come together to find what's new and what's next, where supply chains tackle tomorrow. It's time for ProMat. Only at ProMat can you connect with over 1,100 of the top manufacturing and supply chain innovators under one roof. Expand your knowledge, learn impactful trends in nearly 200 seminars, and be energized by 4 inspiring keynotes. ProMat is where supply chain pros come together to connect, network, and build lasting business relationships with peers from the United States and around the world. Be among the first to access the next groundbreaking MHI annual industry report on the supply chain trends and the digital technologies revolutionizing the industry. Unveiled by Wanda Johnson and MHI CEO John Paxton, join comedian Jay Farrow for MHI's Industry Night, ProMat 2025. Go to ProMatShow.com to learn more and to register for free admission to the ProMat exhibits and educational conference.
All right, exciting hype video there for ProMat first thing in the morning here on a Tuesday, and welcome to the New Warehouse Podcast Live. Very excited for today's conversation. We're going to be talking about all things ProMat 2025, and I will say, if you don't know, ProMat is definitely very close to my heart. I will say that's really where we kind of got the ball rolling on the podcast, so to speak. It went back in ProMat 2019, shortly after we launched the podcast, and we're able to go out there and make a ton of connections. And MHI has embraced me since, who is the organizer of that. So I definitely appreciate them, I will say, here first thing at the top of the hour. So definitely looking forward to talking today to Daniel McKinnon, who is the CEO at MHI, but not the chief executive officer. He's the chief exhibits officer, and he's going to join us today to talk about everything ProMat 2025. If you're not familiar with the show, we're going to dive into what it's all about. If you are familiar with the show, we're going to talk about what's maybe new this year and also what's going on this year and what you should look out for. But first, Daniel, welcome to the show. How are you this morning?
I am great. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Definitely happy to get you on. Happy to talk about ProMat as always. So you are with MHI, and I think that people see maybe from a distance. There's ProMat, there's Modex, right? These big shows that stand out in our industry. But maybe some are not aware, what MHI is and what MHI does, or even maybe that MHI is behind these shows. So why don't we kick it off first here and explain to us a little bit about what is MHI and what does MHI do?
So MHI is a trade association in the supply chain and materials handling industry. We are the largest trade association in this industry, and really represent the needs and the commercial needs, as well as the educational needs, standards for this for the supply chain industry. But I really specifically, we do a lot with the intralogistics business and inside of the distribution center. We have several industry groups representing different segments, robotics and automated guided vehicles, as well as racks and casters and all the things that you would need to be to have a successfully operating and efficient warehouse. You would find represented by the various departments within our association. I think, most notably, our knowledge group strives to provide contemporary and topical information to our over 1,000 members, member companies, in order to help them maintain, a market share, as well as develop new solutions and new ideas and new technologies for the distribution center and for the wider supply chain industry. And then I mentioned our industry groups, our knowledge groups. We don't do any public policy. We are really a trade association and not interested in the legislative concerns of many of our companies. However, we do have affiliated associations that we support and are very involved with the current administration and previous administrations' efforts to increase our U.S. market share, both in the manufacturing side of these products, and our members are the manufacturers. They're the producers of the equipment and the technology that goes into the into the warehouse, into the distribution center, the intralogistics industry. We have these trade shows. They really just started as meetings and to try to bring our members, who are the exhibitors, together with their customers, who are the people operating in the supply chain business. Again, most notably within the distribution center. And with that in mind, the original idea was to help grow the business, help grow these people's market share. And the trade shows have really exploded and developed into their own unique platforms to help engage both the members, who are the manufacturers and the creators of these technologies, and their buyers, their customers, and their partners, their communities. So we tried to build this large environment where people can come together, both on the association side as the exhibitors, as our members, with their customers, which is the global supply chain industry.
Yeah, and I think it's so great, the resources that you all bring to the industry itself, and I think certainly this culmination of everything, I think, kind of comes together, whether it's ProMat or Modex, these huge trade shows, which really evolved over the years, in the years that I've been involved in, just I guess 5-6 years now, with you guys, and seeing the growth there has just been amazing. But I think additionally, aside from that, some of the resources that are out there are really wonderful. I mean, you guys have the industry groups as well, and for those that maybe are watching on YouTube right now, on our YouTube channel, we have a series that we're working on with MHI and their industry groups, coming out every Thursday right now. So those are really great references, and I think those industry groups are doing a lot for the individual components within the material handling industry, which I think is really a great thing as well. But so that's a little overview of kind of MHI and everything that you all are doing there, and the resources you're bringing. But we're here to talk about ProMat today, right? And we're maybe like 2 months out, I guess, from ProMat at about this time, right? So tell us, I guess, at a high level, for maybe people that are not familiar with ProMat, tell us, what is ProMat?
So it can be complex, but it can also be simple to explain. ProMat is by far the largest supply chain trade show, B2B trade show in the world. It takes place at Chicago's McCormick Center, which is a huge facility. For those that have not been, we're in the 3 primary halls, the north, the south, and the east, which is called Lakeside also. We are 100% sold out of exhibit space. So for those people that are in the business that are going, you will see countless, and I'm talking thousands of pieces of equipment, of solutions, of the types of infrastructure and operating materials that go into the distribution center. We will have over 200 show floor theaters, and those are 45-minute clips of people doing case studies and showing contemporary solutions to the attendee base. And then we also have 4 incredible keynotes. One is addressing data management. One is addressing AI. And then there's Deion Sanders, who is a favorite of mine as an Atlanta Falcons fan.
Coach Prime.
And Coach Prime. That's going to be a really, really entertaining. And then we also introduce on Wednesday afternoon every year, we introduce the newest version of our MHI's annual industry report, with support from Deloitte and our CEO, John Paxton, and the real CEO, not the CXO, the CEO, and with some of our partners from Deloitte, we'll be talking about the newest annual industry report, which is really a fantastic. It's a thorough and really well researched content available to our members that really just gives a lot of strategic direction and a lot of ideas and information that will help move these businesses forward. So those are some of the things that are happening. We also do a lot. It's a 4-day show, so I know that people are there for a long time, and sometimes it's hard to be at a trade show for so long and being on and on. So we've tried to, over the past few years, we've tried to create these incredible experiences on the show floor. It just so happens that Monday is St. Patrick's Day.
Right.
And we're having a huge I say huge. We're having a party, a celebration of ProMat, and it just happens to be on St. Patrick's Day, so we'll include some Irish themes and some fun, and we'll have a happy hour from 4 to 6 in the Lakeside Ballroom, and we've really got it jazzed up, so it's really going to be great. And what this does, it's not just about the happy hour or about having fun. It allows us to, one, spread out the long lines for the shuttles and the Ubers, so they're not just all bum rushed. And then, two, it gives extra time for people to engage, people for network and speak with other people within this community of supply chain and materials handling professionals. So that's another thing. We're very excited about that. We'll have one of the things I didn't mention when I was talking about MHI is our communities, which are very important. One is the YPN community. One is the MPro, the marketing professionals community. And these are just groups of people that get together and discuss common concerns and solutions. But another community is the startup community, and we've invested a lot into bringing new high-tech startup companies into ProMat and into the association through our startup community. And that is also located in this Lakeside Ballroom, where you'll see 14 thoroughly vetted startups. They had to make it to this stage, and they will be showing not in a huge booth and just a small kind of kiosk setup their products, their services, and why they were, why they're aggressively pursuing to join this growing association and environment. And with that, we'll have a happy hour. It'll be incorporated into the larger happy hour so that people can continue to engage after the show closes in a very comfortable and accessible environment. And then also within that same area is the startup theater, where they are kind of doing like a Shark Tank type of stuff. I don't want to violate anybody's intellectual property, but they're presenting to a jury and a panel, and that panel will determine who is the best startup, and they win a prize, which is kind of cool. A significant prize to help them with their funding. And then also right next to that is the industry group theater, where different and we mentioned the industry groups earlier. Different industry groups will be presenting solutions and information, based on their competencies and professionalisms and expertise. So we're super happy about this new area, and this is all new to ProMat. It used to be just East and West, which was big enough, but now we'll have over 1,200 exhibitors.
Wow.
It's huge, and all the hotels in Chicago will be full with ProMat people. So if you're at all in this industry, and if you touch this business at all, it's free to attend. Now, it's not free to get to Chicago or to stay in one of these fancy hotels. They're not all fancy, but it is something that really you can't miss it, because there's just so much that goes on in the 4 days. There's just so much content. There's so many people to talk to. There's so much networking. There's so much fun. So I just I can't encourage people to attend strongly enough. And if they have questions, or if they are seeking information, everything is really well laid out at promatshow.com. And one more thing about the attendees, we've really upgraded own technology, our own ability to provide efficient, courteous, professional service to the people that are our guests here in the city. So we have a My Show Planner. Again, none of this costs any money. And you can go into My Show Planner and start developing an agenda based on the predetermined schedule, and also start reaching out to manufacturers or software providers or service providers that would be interested in what you're doing, and I'm sure you would be interested in what they're doing. And we want to make these connections. That's what these trade shows are all about, is making these types of connections.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, it's just massive. I guess is one word for it, right? And 1,200 different exhibitors. I mean, if people are interested in, if you're if you're watching this and you're familiar with the new warehouse, then most likely you're interested in learning about solutions in the material handling industry. I would say pretty much almost every solution that's out there is going to have some kind of presence there, is what I've seen from in the past. And the fact that you've now expanded the space as well, additionally to another hall, I mean, I think just adds even more to that. And I love that you guys are embracing the startups as well. We saw that at Modex last year, which was really great. And we saw, I was looking last night actually at the floor plan a little bit, saw some of the startups that are going to be there. We saw Lully, who we just had on the podcast, and yesterday's episode is going to be there on there, and Kartkin, I think I saw too as well. So always excited to see that. But I think the highlight there too, I think that you said, right, is that it's free to attend, right? So this is like one trade show that's free to come in. Obviously, like you said, costs money to travel there if you need to and stay, but it's free to get in, free to take in all these different resources, not only explore everything that is going on in the industry, but then you mentioned the 200 different theaters, right, and these educational sessions as well, opportunity to learn. So, if you're in the industry, it makes a ton of sense to be there. I mean, this is where you can kind of learn about what's going on, get connected with the people that you want to get connected with. And there's going to be a ton of people there as well, and all throughout the city, like you mentioned too. But, if people haven't been before, and I will say, if anybody's watching here, listening, and you're going to be attending, drop us in the comments and let us know. And if you have any questions as well, feel free to put them in the comments too. We'll try to get these answered here as well. But if people haven't attended before, or maybe they're not sure if they should attend, who should attend ProMat?
Anybody that's in the distribution center sector, or working in supply chain. The solutions that can be found there really represent everything from, we talked about new technology. There's a lot of AGVs, and there's a lot of automation, there's a lot of robotics, for people that are looking to, upgrade their distribution center. But, not everybody is Amazon. So there's really incredible newer products, from sort of more traditional material handling equipment, like casters and racks and pallets, forklifts. I mean, there's so much of that, and it's not just all old, stale equipment. It's new, it's shiny, it's compelling, and it is really pushed this industry forward aggressively, as an innovator, and a technology provider to help make trade more efficient. So we get a lot of warehouse managers, we get a lot of operations managers, we get a lot of fleet managers, we get a lot of people from the retail business. We have our VIP club is filled with C-level people from not just Target and Walmart and Amazon, who are there to buy equipment for their thousands of facilities, but also we have a lot of manufacturers that are concerned about supply chain and getting their materials to market efficiently, cost effectively. So you'll see the big manufacturers like Bosch, and like automotive manufacturers. You'll see Johnson and Johnson, and people that are have consumer goods that are trying to get them market more efficiently. So anybody that's trying to improve their operations within the distribution center, within the warehouse, or even outside, there's last mile equipment, there's a lot of 3PLs, and it really is for forward-looking, innovative people that want to make their facilities more efficient. And we have people, like I mentioned, 3PLs. We have people that represent, a thousand. That's a lot. A few hundred distribution centers, and then we've got somebody that owns one warehouse. So we also get a lot of dealers and distributors who are buying, forklifts or equipment. We have a lot of. That's probably one of the primary lead generators, or we monitor how many leads our exhibitors are getting, because that's super important. We provide the lead retrieval system. We want the attendees and the exhibitors to engage. So we see a lot of people that are looking for equipment from current customers or from new customers. It's really not just for seeing new technology and new equipment, but it's for education and networking. We are a not-for-profit trade association that is heavily vested in promulgating the supply chain material handling industry. Therefore, we want people to come and learn and see, touch and feel and develop. We have a student day that I mentioned earlier on Wednesday. Workforce issues and workforce management and workforce development are one of the largest concerns, topics of concern for our members. Therefore, we try to help with that as well by working seriously on this workforce topic. And that we have several of my colleagues that are trying to create more opportunities for not only people to get into the business, but to stay in the business and to be effectively, appropriately trained and capable.
Yeah, and I think that's such a well-rounded answer, I'll say, on who should attend there, because there's a lot of opportunities, and like you said, from people that have one distribution center warehouse to people that have 100 or maybe more.
Right.
There's something there for everybody, and I think it's a great way, because a lot of the exhibitors, right, this is the place where they're actually showing in person their equipment or whatever it is, right? So you've maybe heard about this company, maybe you've seen some videos now on LinkedIn or YouTube or something, but if you want to see some of these things in person and really pick the brain of somebody on that team on how it actually works and maybe how it can be applied to your operation, like this is the place to do that, because the majority of companies are going to be there showing what they actually do, right? Having that physical piece of equipment there, whether it's, like you said, a forklift or maybe some conveyor or robots, right? Or humanoid robots sometimes too. We've seen, right? I think, Agility, right, made their big
Yeah.
debut of Digit at ProMat 2 years ago, right? So, some of the latest and probably, most cutting edge solutions, right, are there, right, and going to be shown in person, as well as the traditional equipment that you need in between as well to make your operation run and better and optimize. So I think
Yeah.
from an attendee perspective, like there's a lot of opportunity there to see, and I guess give us you told us about the number of exhibitors, but to kind of further, I guess, expand on the scale of the show, like I mean, how many attendees are approximately are you expecting?
We usually get so 2023 we had over 50,000 registered
Wow.
Attendees. So we anticipate more than that. It's grown every year significantly. I would say exponentially. So we don't know. Like that's always a hard thing for trade show people to answer, because people, it's a free offer. So people register whenever they get around to it. We're pacing well. We're pacing ahead of where we have paced in the past. Our hotel rooms, which is a real indicator of who's coming, are way up. We're over like 11% up in our hotel room nights, which is really significant. That means people are committing to come to Chicago. because that's, when you register for something for free, it's, who cares? But when you pay a deposit on a hotel room, then that's a real commitment. And I would say if people are planning on attending and they haven't gotten their hotels, they really need to do it. We run shuttles into the city to the hotels with which we are working, and that's again a free service, and the shuttles run back and forth all day from the convention center from McCormick Place to the downtown hotels, and several different routes. I mean, we have over 40 hotels, almost 50 hotels that they're running all throughout the day. So I would say that's a really important thing to do to make your plans to attend. Go ahead and secure a hotel room and a flight. Or if you're driving in, there's plenty of parking opportunities and there's public transportation. One of the things that you mentioned it earlier, and I think it's super interesting for all of these, thousands of attendees that are coming, is the and you mentioned it, and it always sticks in my mind, because not being from the business, I'm a trade show person, but I've been doing this for 6 years, and walking through and seeing the more traditional equipment, and seeing what really makes the world go round. Literally, I mean, this is how the world operates, inside of these distribution centers, and seeing sometimes the most simple solutions are the ones that are really the most innovative, and there's things from the floor to the ceiling, from fans, to flooring, and everything in between. And I'm just amazed at the diversity and depth and the technology that's there. One important note that I would be remiss if I did not point out, it is, if you do attend, we have what's called the Innovation Awards, and some people go with this shopping list. Some people go, I need some rack, I need some casters, I need 6 forklifts. Some people go with a shopping list. Some people, and a lot of times are the Targets and the Amazons of the world, they go to look at the innovations and to see what's new, and to see what's making these distribution centers more efficient and more progressive. So we have Innovation Awards. We had over 200 submissions for the 220 or something for the Innovation Award. And again, that is something that is juried. There's 4 different Innovation Awards, and one of them is actually the best startup. But there's a jury of attendees, super qualified attendees from different people. Again, people that are running distribution centers, and they go through these and they vote and they determine the winners. And the winners are announced at our industry night, where we have kind of a association celebration. It's Wednesday evening. We let people go out afterwards. Chicago's filled with great restaurants, so we let people go out. But we have a comedian. Pharrell Williams is the comedian. We always get a really funny person. They have to be clean. We don't want Dave Chappelle coming in there ripping everybody up. So but I mean, we would love Dave Chappelle, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then we're a little bit sensitive. And then all of these winners are announced as part of the program, and it's just it's really a significant event, and it's also a really great way for people. Again, it's a 4-day show, so come with a shopping list, or come with targeted people that you want to speak with. However, try to check out the Innovation Awards. There's 3 finalists in each category, and then a winner. So yeah, we really recommend people lasering in on that, because they're spread out all over the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's so many things to take in, right? And I think those Innovation Awards, I mean, I think are such a great indicator of what's up and coming in the industry, but also I think a great indicator too on what's on people's minds in the industry, right? Like, what problems are they trying to solve, and these innovations are coming because of that. I mean, some of the previous innovation winners certainly have been doing some really great things, right? And
you
I'm
mentioned
curious,
one of them.
Who's that?
You mentioned Agility.
Oh yeah.
They won for, and then another one that stuck out for me was Configura, because they go across a lot of different industries.
Yeah.
But they're they kind of help design and lay out the
yes.
the warehouse. Super interesting stuff. And it changes every year. Sometimes it's software, sometimes it's equipment. So it's really interesting, and those are always fun for me to look at.
Yeah, definitely. And Configure, if people are interested in seeing what that looks like, we've actually had them on a live stream before as well. You can check that out on
Awesome.
our YouTube, where they actually give a demo of what they do. Really, really cool stuff. Kind of like full
Really cool.
3D visualization of putting layouts together in any facility, really. But we focused on the warehouse, obviously. But so I mean, it's such a great place to see what's happening in the industry, what people are trying to solve for, and I think also, like, talk about, having 50,000 at the last one, and it'll probably be more this year, right? And it continues to grow, which I think is such an interesting testament and sign for our industry, right? The fact
Yes.
that not only are we growing in terms of the number of attendees, right, but we're also growing in terms of the number of exhibitors, right? Which means that we're seeing more and more people recognize, as you mentioned earlier, walking the floor, that this is kind of the backbone of industry, right? And we need the material handling, the distribution, supply chain to be able to move these things around and get these things into our homes or our businesses, wherever we need the items that we need to do the things that we need to do, right? So really a lot happening there, and I'm curious from MHI's perspective. I mean, as you see this continued growth, not only on the solution provider side, but then also like the end user side as well. I mean, how does MHI interpret that for the industry and kind of what's happening here?
Well, the association has grown. The trade shows have grown, but the association has grown as well.
Yeah.
The industry groups have really gotten larger and more robust, and they're doing more. And then our affiliated association, it's part of MHI, the work warehouse education resources. So they're growing and becoming more relevant as education it becomes more important, and our standards are in more demand than they ever have been. So the industry itself is growing, at a rate that I think aligns with the growth of our trade shows, which have grown double digits exponentially every
Mm.
year in both exhibitors and attendees. And you still, like the traditional topics, you still see them a lot. You're always going to have conveyors and racks
Mhm.
and forklifts, but you see innovations and technologies coming along with these. We see so many AGV companies now, and I assume at some point that'll they'll kind of come together a little bit more. But there's just so much technology, and it's every year I'm surprised. Like, wow, look at that! Just go to the Boston Dynamics booth every year, and
Oh
you're going
yeah.
to see some kind of crazy new technology that you didn't think. And how does that apply to to our industry? But the loading and unloading with robotics and automation is incredible.
Mm.
We see European companies coming in because of their size requirements, and because the United States is an extraordinarily urban environment in some cases, and the Europeans have a lot, and the Japanese have a lot to offer with size, and how do we go more vertical? How do we automate and safely provide more opportunities for distribution centers in tight spaces in cities. So we see a lot of that, and we see the growth internationally. And then a lot of people are talking about we have a lot of Chinese participation, a lot,
Mhm.
and we're grateful for it because they bring a really valuable element to the show and to the association. And they're innovative, and we appreciate what they're doing. But a lot of people now are talking about the reshoring or the nearshoring,
Mhm.
and Canada has amazing technology. Mexico has great manufacturing and technology, and we're seeing more and more come out of Mexico and Central America. We have
Interesting.
groups that are coming to us to try to get more involved with us. Not commercial exhibition planners or meeting planners, but associations, affiliated associations in this sector, in this environment, and we want to accommodate them. We want to work with them. So it's just been really exciting to be a part of this. I wonder if it's what, like, the automotive people thought in the early 20th century, like, oh wow, we're onto something here. Maybe not that grand or that that elaborate, but we really, this industry is really onto something, and improving the speed and efficiency and accuracy and safety of materials getting to and from their destinations is critical, and it's been a part of America, is part of our success. I truly believe that. You look at I'm always shocked at, people think like the e-commerce, that it's, it must be 90% of our trade. Based on my family's interactions with Amazon, I would think it's 90% of our economy, but it's still really small. You probably have the exact numbers. It's still like under 20% or 16, 17%. So retail is still out there. People got to get their stuff, the grocery, fresh food and all of that is really facilitating a huge growth in our industry. And I don't know where it stops. We're running out of space at the facilities that we produce these exhibitions at, faster than the industry is slowing down. So we have to come up with our own solutions to provide a suitable environment for the continued engagement between our members and their friends and their communities.
Yeah. And I think all really great points there. I mean, it is such a testament to just the growth. And I think, I've said this like multiple times on the podcast, but one of the most exciting things about being part of this industry is we are seeing a lot of these newer technologies find practical applications in our industry, which I think is really, really cool to be a part of and see. And you go to the ProMat, and I mean, you're going to see the traditional applications. Definitely. I mean, you'll see everything from, floor tape to humanoid robots, right? I mean, it's a broad spectrum, but everything that they're working to try and improve and make those operations better. And as you said, move that material more efficiently, safer, better for the human worker at the end of the day as well. So really interesting, thoughts there, and kind of a great indicator and tell on what which way the industry is going, and the importance of the industry as well. So now I'm curious from you, because ProMat, I think we've established here, is quite massive, right? Quite big. 1,200 exhibitors, 50,000 plus attendees probably. Lots going on, 4 days, right? Monday through Thursday, starting March 17th on St. Patrick's Day, as you said. Also in Chicago, right? I mean, the river will be green, I think, right?
Yes.
On Monday, so.
we had trouble finding talent for like our Irish theme stuff, because it was like, I'm working today.
Yeah. So I guess tell us, for somebody maybe that's going for, I mean, just going in general, maybe the first time, maybe their 10th time, what do you recommend as the best plan of action? Because I mean, I will say 1,200 exhibitors, you can't do all that in one day if you're planning to do all of it, but what's the best way to plan and prep going into the show?
So there's the obvious things about wearing comfortable shoes and comfortable clothes, and staying, at a hotel that's, if you're not driving in, that is, accessible to one of our shuttle buses. And then there's the less obvious things about how important it is to schedule, to plan. We have great tools. My show planner is part of the registration process. Once you have established this, you're able to use it on a mobile device or however you want, to help you create a schedule, because you will have the ProMat schedule, laid out, so you can, here's the keynote, here's a student day opportunity, here's a happy hour, but more than that, dive deep. Once in the My Show Planner, once you can indicate what your interests are or what your business is, or it will help you define some of the opportunities that might exist. But with that, and because everybody's different, and there's a lot of engineers there. They're like planning, and they got their
Oh, yeah.
stuff down. But then there's some people like me, and one of the greatest things about trade shows, good trade shows, is the serendipity that is involved in just walking the aisles and seeing something that you never thought that you would see before, or meeting somebody that you never thought that you would meet before, and really not making your schedule a 12-hour, wake up, eat breakfast, go to the show, talk to this person, talk to this person, talk to this. You just got to walk around and appreciate the incredible solutions and technologies and opportunities, solutions that exist, on the show floor. And then I think it's important, and another serendipity is one of the reasons that trade shows are successful. The other is because it is a fundamental human trait to appreciate and value interpersonal engagement. So go have a coffee with somebody, go have a drink with somebody, go to one of the fine dining opportunities, and not all expensive. I like a Chicago, what's a hot beef sandwich. There's a great place right down the street. Enjoy a meal, break bread with people. Talk about life and talk about the future. And I think that's a basic human need that we try to accommodate. We want people to not just be talking business all the time. We want people to get to know other people, to join this community, to be a part of it, and to add value to it just by their presence and their competency and their knowledges, so that we can help. The whole, I've always believed in the rising tide lifts all ships. It is absolutely true. And so we want everybody to contribute. We want people to come and discuss their businesses and their lives, and appreciate that we're giving them a platform to be successful. And we try to give them a platform to be happy as well. It's hard to come to Chicago for 4 days and be away from friends and families and work. It seems like a 24-hour day, but it doesn't have to be so awful, and it can be a lot of fun. And so I seriously recommend planning, but also taking some time to not plan, and just to walk around and look. I will say about the planning, there are so many options in the theaters and the solution theaters. So I would, once you enter your in my show planner, once somebody indicates what their interests are, it can make recommendations on what sessions. But again, don't take technology, don't take the AI bot, recommendations all the time. Do your own thing, find your own space. And I really do think that visiting a couple of areas is super important. The ProMat Pier is in the Lakeside Ballroom. I've talked a little bit about that. That's where there's a lot going on.
Okay.
The new Lakeside Hall, there's a lot. So it would be terrible not to visit every single hall. There's only 3 of them, but they're big.
Yeah.
So those are some of my recommendations. Make yourself comfortable first. Plan your visit second. Make sure that you have a plan, but don't make that plan all encompassing. Make sure you have time to walk around and appreciate the depth of opportunities that exist outside of what you thought might have been there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great thing. I mean, definitely plan, but I would say plan to have that kind of roaming, just wandering around time, because
Absolutely.
it's easy to, I think, get drawn into, some of these big, huge booths, right, that have a lot of things going on.
A lot of them.
Some of them with full on coffee bars and baristas and wild stuff, right? I mean, but when you start to roam around, it just kind of walk some of the aisles, some of these smaller booths in between, really have some interesting things going on. And there's been a lot of great discoveries in doing that for me, right? And learning about, some of these solutions that are kind of, just bubbling up, in the industry, and kind of getting out there a little bit. So there's a lot of opportunity to do that. And then, as you said, connect with other people. And everybody there is kind of, probably having similar challenges to you, or trying to solve similar problems, or have solved maybe similar problems that you're trying to solve at the same time. So being able to connect with those people and talk about that amongst your peers, I think, is another great opportunity there. So definitely great tips there. And yeah, I think on the Monday, right, sustainability theater, I'm going to be moderating a discussion. So definitely plan for that.
Oh,
I will
good.
say, yeah, definitely plan for that. Put that in your plans. But so, very interesting stuff here, and really great to have you on and talk about this. And before we kind of wrap up here, there is one question I think I want to get answered, because a couple people have asked me this, and to be honest, I'm not quite sure, but so what's the difference between ProMat and Modex, besides the year that it's on and the location?
That's a good question, and it's a question that we are asked frequently.
Mhm.
At one point, Modex really focused more on, not just inside, like ProMat was inside the four
Mm.
walls. It was
Okay.
inside the distribution center. And Modex, we brought in some last mile, some transportation, and other topics, really based on the port of Savannah and Atlanta, and that growing, corridor,
Okay.
distribution corridor that's really kind of taken over the Southeast. However, we talked about this, I think, a couple years ago, after the pandemic, and we looked at our shows and we said, well, they both have transportation, they both have last mile,
Mm.
they both have everything you need inside the distribution center, and they're both growing, outside the distribution center. There's non-traditional markets that we're seeing more and more at a ProMat and Modex, like ports and
Mm.
airports, and things you wouldn't traditionally think of as, intralogistics. So as we grow those segments, the shows have really kind of grown together.
Mm.
And because they're every other year, we thought, well, why are we trying to make them different shows? They have different brands, and
Mhm.
regionally they're different. Atlanta, the greatest city in the world, and there's dreary old Chicago. I'm just kidding. I'm from Atlanta. That's
He's from Atlanta. Yeah,
that's how I said it.
yeah.
No, they're both in great American cities with great industry relevance to our association. So there really is not very much different other than regional now.
Mm.
There's no product difference. There's no, like, lines of business. There's no difference. The attendees are generally from all the major brands are there at both shows.
Mhm.
We do get regional people at at Atlanta that we don't get in Chicago, and vice
Mm.
versa. ProMat's still a little bit bigger, and a lot of that now. So we're completely full in Atlanta. We are wall to wall. We have
Mm.
no room for additional growth in Atlanta, other than the sort of innovative use of space. But in
Yeah.
Chicago, we continue to grow, and that's a gigantic facility. McCormick, it used to be the largest in the United States,
Mm.
and now it's the second largest. But there's plenty of space there, and Chicago is just such a great city. It's the lift is, like, to get in and out of Chicago isn't that bad, and the
Yeah.
hotels are great. The restaurants are fantastic. It's got a great culture, so it's a wonderful city. It's big, it's dynamic. So we're super happy with ProMat in Chicago and Modex in Atlanta, but we don't really try to differentiate them as far as what would be different lines of business or different product categories anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's great clarification there, and definitely, so I mean, having that said, right? So, if you're listening, you should definitely have ProMat and Modex on your calendar, I would say, right? So,
Yeah.
and so very, very interesting stuff with you here, Daniel. Really appreciate you coming on today and telling us everything about ProMat in general, about MHI, what to expect this year at ProMat 2025. We'll definitely be looking forward to seeing everybody there. This is the place to be if you want to see the latest solutions in the material handling warehousing space and you want to solve some of those challenges that you're facing every day. I'm sure you will find something to help you do that there. And now ProMat is March 17th to March 20th, correct? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It is at McCormick Place in Chicago, as Daniel mentioned. And most importantly, it is free to attend, right? So make sure that you make some time, get out there, tell your boss, hey, I got to go solve these problems and I'm going to Chicago to get to ProMat. And if people want to learn more about ProMat, what's the best way to do that, Daniel?
ProMatShow.com.
All right, very easy. ProMatShow.com. Head there, register, and we appreciate you coming on, Daniel. We appreciate MHI for always supporting the new warehouse, and we appreciate MHI, of course, for bringing the industry together at these big shows, the in-between events, and everything else that you do as well. We will be there in the Lakeside Hall, the new warehouse as well, so make sure you check us out there, and we'll be live streaming from the booth so people can get a little taste of what else is happening on the floor and check it out after the show as well. And like I said, Monday, I'll be in the Sustainability Theater as well. I forget the time, unfortunately, right now, but definitely check that out. I'll be monitoring a discussion there as well. So, Daniel, thank you once again for joining me today, and we will see you in Chicago.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.